wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. I can still hear a lot of socializing from upstairs. Yes, he's turning it on. Just make sure it gets, and there's no black box. I'm still hearing some socializing coming down from upstairs. So inshallah, if anybody is still trying to catch up, inshallah, just step out into the side rooms and we can get started, inshallah. Today we have a very interesting figure in the history of Islam. He is someone who is a descendant of Abu Bakr radiallahu an, as well as a descendant of Ali radiallahu an. So let's take guesses. Yes. Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya, okay? Ja'far as-Sadiq, okay? Ja'far as-Sadiq, anyone else? Anyone? No? No other guesses? Well, Ja'far as-Sadiq is correct. How is Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya a descendant of Abu Bakr radiallahu an? Okay, all right. Okay, so yes, so we have Imam, Sheikh, a great scholar, Ja'far as-Sadiq, rahimahullah, and we'll talk about why even the Sunnis use the word Imam with Ja'far as-Sadiq, radiallahu an, rahimahullah. His name is Abu Abdullah Ja'far as-Sadiq ibn Muhammad al-Baqir ibn Ali Zain al-Abidin ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he is the grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Okay, so that's an easy way to remember. He's the grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So how many links between him and Ali radiallahu an? 5. Okay. Now, on his mother's side, his mother's name is Farwa bint al-Qasim ibn Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. So, so his mother is descendant from Abu Bakr radiallahu an on her mother's side and also on her father's side. So, she is the daughter of the grandson of Abu Bakr. She's the granddaughter of Abu Bakr, because remember that Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr is the son of Abu Bakr that was born after Abu Bakr radiallahu anh passed away. Okay, so when he died, his wife was expecting, and this was Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. So he's very late. So thus, although on the other side, he is the grandson of Ali, but on the mother's side, he's just the great-grandson. His mother is the daughter of the grandson, which is a great-granddaughter of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. On her mother's side as well, the lineage goes to Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. So when you look at his lineage, his mother's side, twice from Abu Bakr. His father's side, twice from Ali radiallahu anh. So very, very strong connection over there. And one of the things that we will see is that, as time moved on, the Sunni and the Shia strand became more and more distant, because from our perspective, from the Sunni perspective, the Shia strand started to ascribe special powers to these people. From the Sunni side, the original Imams of the Shia side are also considered to be very venerable figures. And we'll talk about Ja'far as-Sadiq and his father and obviously everyone else above them, that they were people who were respectable people, respectable scholars. They were loved by everyone. And at that time, the Sunni and Shia was simply a political term. Okay, so think about it this way, that Democrats and Republicans, they have different people that they would rather have as president. Okay? In the early Islam, this is the difference. There is some talk here and there. There are some extremist elements, just like you have now. But the solidification of those beliefs that we consider to be very far from mainstream Islam, this happens as time passes more. In fact, we will see today that Ja'far as-Sadiq, rahimahullah, when we look at his teachers and we look at his students, if you didn't know, you would not be able to say that he has anything to do with the Shi'i branch of Islam. Okay? So, he's born in 80 Hijri, 80 years after the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. And his grandfather, whose name is Ali Zainul Abidin, he is the only child that survived Karbala. Okay? He's the only person basically from the family of Ali radiallahu anh, from the sons of Hussein, from the family of Hussein that survives Karbala. So he has a son whose name is Muhammad ibn Ali, and Muhammad has a son whose name is Ja'far as-Sadiq. He's called as-Sadiq because he was known to never ever have lied in his entire life. Like the people who were alive at the time called him as-Sadiq because he was such a truthful person. Now he lived in Medina and died in Medina, which is also something which is the last of the Al al-Bayt, the family of the Prophet, because after this, the family of the Prophet was moved from Medina to Iraq because the family of the Prophet was always a political threat. So when the power shifted to Baghdad during the Abbasid era, they wanted the family of the Prophet to be close to them so they could keep an eye on them. They didn't want them far away where a revolt could brew and they don't know it with enough time. So they want them in front of their eyes. So they were basically forcefully moved from Medina out. So Ja'far as-Sadiq is the last person from the line of the sons of Ali and grandson and great-grandson who lived in Medina and died and is buried in Al-Baqi'. So he lives through the end of the Umayyad Empire, the Umayyad dynasty, and he lives through the rise of the Abbasids. And while this happens, there's a lot of political turmoil, and there are a lot of rebellions. He never ever participated in any of that political activity. And this is one of those things which basically makes him so venerable from both sides, that even though people, you know what, this is what happens. I was speaking to an imam yesterday who was telling me that some people are telling me from the community that, Imam, we want you back. So I told him, Imam, Sheikh, have you heard the story of Hussein radiallahu anh? The people, 2 people, 3 people, they will come and they will tell you, Sheikh, you're the best, we want you back and this and that. But when it comes time to actually, talking to whoever is in the hiring process and this and that, those people, they fizzle out. I said, Sheikh, don't have your hopes up, just keep it. Don't rely on those people because remember the letters from Kufa, okay? The letters from Kufa were the letters that came to Hussein radiallahu anh, and it said, you come here and we will die with you. And when he was on his way, they rebelled one by one until Hussein radiallahu anh ended up in Karbala and was brutally killed, while those people, they basically are sitting comfortably in their homes. So, be very careful when people come. If these are not people who are actual people in power and they're telling you, we'll do this for you and we'll do that for you, listen from one ear and let it out from the other, because you're going to be the one that's going to end up suffering at the end, and they will simply say, sorry, I thought I had it under control. So, Ja'far as-Sadiq, rahimahullah, he was very wise in that he never fell for this. People came to him. Even, for example, the rebellion of his uncle, whose name is Zayd, who is also a very prominent figure, he almost brought down the Umayyad dynasty, almost. It was a very powerful, he left Medina with 15,000 in his army. That's a big number for that time. But again, later on, same thing happened, which is that the people who were supposed to be dependent that you were depending on, they basically leave, and the person who's leading ends up getting brutally killed. So he lives a very clean life away from politics and did not join any revolts. And towards the end of the Umayyad dynasty, he receives a secret message from someone by the name of As-Saffah, Abu al-Abbas As-Saffah, right? Who is Abu al-Abbas As-Saffah? He's the one who started the Abbasid revolt, okay? He's not really, he did not live long enough to see it flourish and become like total in power, but he's the one who started the revolt. But it was his brother, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, who then basically took over from the deathbed of what was his name? Abu al-Abbas al-Saffah. And he rules for 24 years and brings it all to, fruition. So As-Saffah, while he's starting this rebellion against the Umayyads in the outer provinces, he sends a secret message to Ja'far as-Sadiq. And he is the most, he's a scholar, he's the direct descendant of the Prophet ﷺ. He is beloved by everyone. So he sends him a message. Now remember this, that a lot of times rebels, they are looking for figureheads to get power for themselves, okay? Sends him a message, says, look, why don't you join us? And I will make you the figurehead of our government. When we take over, you will be our figurehead, and this will bring a lot of support. Now, what happens is, they do that, then afterwards, once they come to power, then they throw you aside, okay? If you remember that, this is something that has happened even in our time repeatedly, that they bring somebody up, use them, and after that they discard them. So Ja'far as-Sadiq, he said, no, thank you, I'm not interested, and do what you need to do, but I'm not going to be involved in any of this. Now, As-Saffah happens to be that rebel who ends up succeeding in overthrowing the Umayyad dynasty. And as you know, that what he did is that after they basically took over, they invited all of the Umayyads for a peacemaking deal, peacemaking dinner. Okay, said, look, we want to, whatever happened, you guys were the last rulers, we are the new rulers, that's all done. Election is over, okay? Rebellion is over, essentially. And we should be friends, and we should live together. So I'd like to invite you all. I want you to bring every single member of the Umayyad family for a feast. And of course, they fell for it. They went, and he massacred every single prince that they could find. Adult, child, elderly, whatever, anybody that had that Umayyad lineage, he basically slaughtered them. They call this the Red Wedding. They had this recently where they basically kill, they invite you and then they clean the slate. Only person who manages to escape is who? Abdurrahman al-Dakhil. He manages to escape to a very little known province of the Umayyad dynasty called Andalus. And then he goes and he builds Andalus to become what it became. Until then, it was just basically like that extra land that we have down there. So As-Saffah, he massacres the entire Umayyad family and succeeds in that rebellion. And he promised, again, the family, the Al al-Bayt, he says, look, you guys join us in the rebellion, and after we succeed, you will be the kings. You will be the kings. And of course, the same thing happened is that after they succeeded, they did not make them the kings. They kept the kingship in themselves and in their families. So then, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, his brother, takes over, and Abu Ja'far al-Mansur is hearing rumors that the popularity of Ja'far al-Sadiq is a threat to his power. Because of course, if you come the wrong way, people don't respect you. You can get power, but people don't respect you. And the person who didn't do anything wrong is sitting in a dignified way, teaching, being a amazing, righteous person. Everybody says, if he says today, come over, we'll go over. Okay? So he's hearing all of these rumors, which is making him feel like a threat. So one day, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, after all this political talk, he says, you know what? I swear to Allah, I'm going to execute this Ja'far al-Sadiq and just get rid of this problem. And he sends a messenger to go and bring Ja'far al-Sadiq to me in Baghdad. Go to Medina and bring him to me. And he takes an oath that I'm going to execute him. That's it. You know what? I just can't have a loose end lying around. So Ja'far al-Sadiq, he travels from Medina to Baghdad. And he says that, okay, I will come and I will meet with him. And he, basically all the preparations for his execution are done. And Ja'far al-Sadiq, he dresses up in his coffin. He dresses up in his coffin. He says, okay, I'm going to get executed. So I'm going to go. Let's see what happens. He makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he goes to meet the Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, the Amir al-Mu'mineen at the time. And he walks in. And as soon as he walks in, instead of being angry with him, a haiba took over Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. And instead of executing him, he gets up and he hugs him. And he kisses him. And he has him sit with him on an honorable sofa of, the big seat, you could say. And he says, you know what, my cousin, what can I do for you? So this is, subhanAllah, one of the things about righteous people, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them this haiba, that when they walk in, people feel something in the air. And subhanAllah, we would say that this is the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the man who had sworn to execute him is now saying, my cousin, because they are cousins in a distant way, my cousin, what can I do for you? So Ja'far al-Sadiq says that I came to see you because the people of Medina are complaining that they are not being provided the services that are due to them. So please, can you do something about that? So he says, secretary, please give him everything that they're asking for. Make sure that he's happy. He stays over there for a few days, and then he comes back to Medina. And of course, the people are like, what happened? Think about everyone had heard the big talk and the big promises and this and that. And now they're saying, what happened? Why didn't you do anything? And he says, when he walked in, something took over me and I just could not. Now, he still is hearing this. A lot of times the person themselves is a person, but the people around them, they do a lot of negative talk about someone that riles them up. Okay? So again, this talk starts, and he says, okay, you know what? At least I'm not going to execute him. At least let me show the people that Ja'far al-Sadiq is not all that special. So he says, okay, who is the biggest scholar, the most knowledgeable person that we have? And it is Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. So he sends an order to Abu Hanifa. He says, I want you to publicly debate Ja'far al-Sadiq, and I want you to put him in his place and show the people that he's not the most knowledgeable person. So Abu Hanifa, he says, okay, the order of the Khalifa has come. What else are you going to do? You gotta deliver, or you're going to lose your head. So he says, I prepared the most difficult issues to discuss with him. And on the day of, he says, I walked in, and Abu Ja'far al-Mansur is there, and Ja'far al-Sadiq is there. And he says, as soon as I walked in, this haiba affected me, and I was in complete awe of Ja'far al-Sadiq, not of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, but a complete awe of Ja'far al-Sadiq. And he says that I was so embarrassed to be doing this to him. But he says, what can I do? The Khalifa has ordered. So he says that I embarrassingly, reluctantly started and brought up issues, and he brought up 40 issues. And he said every one of those issues, Ja'far al-Sadiq, in some issues he agreed with me, in some issues he disagreed with me, and he said the opinion of Malik is this, because he's in Medina, right? And in Medina, the Maliki school is, Imam Malik is a great imam, he's very well respected, and the usul of Medina are there. So in some issues, he would say, well, I agree with you on this issue. On some issues, well, he says, I agree with the Imam Malik's opinion. In some issues, he says, well, my opinion is such and this is my evidence. He said that in every issue I found him. In fact, later on, they asked Abu Hanifa, they said, who is the most knowledgeable person you ever met? He said, Ja'far as-Sadiq. He's, of course, senior to Abu Hanifa. So he says, the most knowledgeable person I've ever seen is Ja'far as-Sadiq. Now, Ja'fari fiqh is another school of thought, which still exists today. And if you actually study it, in a lot of the major issues, there's a lot of similarity between the Sunni major four schools and the Ja'fari school of thought. There are some issues where are, quite different, but they are very few. But generally, the usul of Ja'far as-Sadiq, if you're talking about, if Abu Hanifa is saying he's the most knowledgeable person I found, he lived in Medina, he died in Medina, he did not have any sort of, political affiliation, so he had no need to distort the religion. So you would only expect that from it, that they would have some differences, but they are not very major differences. So then he returned to Medina, and again, he did not ever participate in anything else, and he died in Medina, and he is buried there. Now, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, by the way, did he really respect Abu Hanifa? No, he was only using him. Later on, he actually jailed Imam Abu Hanifa, and Imam Abu Hanifa died in prison because of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, the same man. And this is the same man who also whipped Imam Malik. Okay, so, remember this, that when it comes to scholars, the political rulers, there is this difficult relationship, okay? You need them, but they're also a threat because people learn and respect from the scholars. They don't really love the political leaders. They are afraid of them. So basically, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, they both suffer at the hands of Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. Now, when we look at the shuyukh of Ja'far as-Sadiq, we see names which are, bona fide, solid names, which are Sunni scholars and great figures among the Sahaba. He narrates from his father, Abu Ja'far al-Baqir. He narrates from Urwa ibn Zubayr. Urwa ibn Zubayr is the son of Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Urwa ibn Zubayr is the nephew of Aisha radiallahu anha. He is the grandson of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So the whole idea that later developed, which is that the Shia hate Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. In fact, at this time, there are many things where I will share with you where a man from Iraq, where these ideas exist, he comes to meet Ja'far as-Sadiq. And he says to him, he says that, I have a neighbor who claims that you disassociate yourself from Abu Bakr and Umar. He's saying this to Ja'far as-Sadiq. So Ja'far said, may Allah disavow your neighbor. May Allah disavow your neighbor. By Allah, I hope that Allah will benefit me through my ties of blood of Abu Bakr. For I fell ill one time and I left my will with my maternal uncle, Abdurrahman ibn al-Qasim, meaning a direct descendant of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Meaning he's saying, I have no hatred or negativity towards them. But in fact, in another statement, he says that Abu Bakr and Umar were imams of guidance. They were imams of guidance. Now, some of the people that narrate from him are also great names. Among them Malik, Imam Malik rahimahullah. Among them Sufyan ibn Uyayna. Among them Abu Hanifa, who says that that's the most knowledgeable person he ever came across. Again, I have more of such statements. And when it comes to Ja'far as-Sadiq, now, of course, from the Sunni perspective, he's a great scholar, revered person, beloved person to the people at the time and to us because of his role in knowledge, as well as being a direct descendant of the Prophet ﷺ. But we do not ascribe any divine qualities to the descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, as the other strand later on came and they said that they are ma'asumeen, they don't commit any mistakes, they are directly chosen by Allah and things. These ideas, these are the ones that we disagree with. But people who had, knowledge, and they tried their best to follow the Prophet ﷺ, followed the Sahaba. Of course, like we said, that in the early days, these were just political dynasties, you could say, and this was all that there was. I have some names of some recent books that have been written that are good biographies of Ja'far al-Sadiq, and I guess the most prominent among them is a book written by Muhammad Abu Zahra. This is from a Sunni perspective, okay? Muhammad Abu Zahra, he wrote a book called Imam al-Sadiq, Hayatuhu wa Asruhu wa Ara'uhu wa Fiqhuhu. Okay, so he wrote this book, and actually just looked it up, and it's available on Amazon in Urdu. For some reason, Urdu came up more than Arabic, but it would be available in Arabic as well, widely probably. You don't have to pay for it. You should be able to just get it on PDF or something. There also, in Qura University, there have been a number of theses that have been written on the life and times of Ja'far al-Sadiq, again, from a Sunni perspective. So this is someone that is a person of great impact. And the lessons that we can learn from him is, of course, among others, is that don't be used by the political trends of the day, but rather, if you focus on that which Allah has gifted you with, which is the knowledge and His lineage, so He uses that to influence the people in a more powerful way than the politicians can. The politicians can control the people by force, but they cannot influence people in following them and becoming a true leader for them in this dunya and in the akhirah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq. I have I have these names of these books and these theses that have been written on Ja'far al-Sadiq. If anybody wants to come and take a look at them, you can come and inshallah take a look at them. Jazakumullah khair. By the way, today is our last episode of this History Maker series. We're going to give it a break, and we're going to be starting a different series from next month on the third Friday night, which will be the basics of Islam. Because one of the things that we have realized is that while we have like 20, 30 people that know Islam really well, a lot of the people that come are struggling in basics. So what we want to do is we want to actually invite new families that are just getting religious, or new Muslims that are just becoming Muslim. And we want to have 12 sessions where we cover basic 12 major areas of Islamic knowledge, and also introduce some of these families in the community. Because one of the things that we need to do is that, as you all have experienced, that ICBC is growing fast. And when any community, when any masjid, when any organization, when it grows fast, there starts to become a divide between the old and the new. Okay? And what tends to happen is that the new tends to have a different culture, different values. They're coming from all over. And the old people, they have certain things that they built on, and now it's starting to get, you could say, no, not necessarily. It starts to, like, for example, good things. Okay, one of the things that actually makes ICBC what ICBC is, inshallah, is that people say when we come here, we feel a brotherly feeling. We feel a brotherhood, sisterhood. So now, the old custom or culture is that when you see someone new, you greet them. Now, there's so many new people. So what we want to do is we want to get the new people and make them into old people. So inshallah, we'll be seeing some initiatives on that matter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us and grant us success. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.